GEN.YAHANNA is my brother and my blood, and I will die and kill for him if necessary. It's all about that warfare, boy. It's all about that warfare, boy. My soldiers take crap till stand down. Take rock. Now this ain't no movement, this is a take that. We would not be moved or intimidated. We ain't the type. You got a problem, tell them cross the fucking line. My niggas ain't polite. Soldiers to the left and right. I die for every man body. Before I be a coward, I'd rather be a dead body. This will be my kingdom with an hourglass. You can either get with it or get flipped like an hourglass. We live our honor and no excuse. We send the prayer up to the Lord. I told him to let all the terrorists loose. Hold your tongue or get rebuked, cause you made a truce. With a race to make merchandise out of my abuse. Scared of who? You got your gun, then pull it. Me and my niggas not to argue, it's about who gon' bite the bullet. He gon' take round. Opponents better move slow. Attack dog for this truth. Nigga, cool yo. It's all about that warfare, boy. It's all about that warfare, boy. My soldiers take crap till them stand down. My soldiers take crap till them stand down. Oh, thought you could cross us with no consequence, but you will pay this. You should've used your common sense. My zeal lit, that means you should never prevail. Hey, with a true fit, hey, with warriors well. Be wise with the weapons, cause I'm blocked. My nine is like my wife, she can see them, she mine. I know two things, a robber will not pop. And any man harm me and my aunt gon' be some stop. Cause this life is warfare, it's not an easy walk. Been watching my people die, so you can miss me with that love talk. I.S.U.P.K soldiers, any man try to cross your path, make him regret what that meant, fall off his ass. Comparing me and you really ain't no contest. The only one west, say what? The only one west. This for those who thinking we ain't ready for. Tell them back up, I'm about to drop something heavy for. It's all about that warfare, boy. It's all about that warfare, boy. My soldiers take crap till them stand down. Take crap. My soldiers take crap till them stand down, boy.
One west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. One west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. They ain't scaring me. Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy and get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me. They ain't listening. Every bar nitroglycerin. Hit your heart, bring it back to start, make you live again. Getting dividends, so we start getting ignorant. I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nobody a domino. So what you fucking trying to do? Rhyming comical, guess it's funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to the pussy niggas that's popping shit. Keep my all-stars. I coach them up like a Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vaginas, so we gon' check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way I vomit this and regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid. Shit has gotten retarded since all the dominance. One West rising to prominent. Cause I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. They want a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers. But I ride like I got group eyes for Uber. Rhyme hard like they've been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few to sit up in your medulla. I regatta, for the regatta, niggas wildin', they win every dollar. They riding by black Impalas, let the semi holler. The showstopper, with his promises and titty bopper. But now I'm going off Patron and premium a vodka. I put his bitches on the clock, modify the chopper. The small heavy, more ready, and let's work the mama. No marijuana, say I got the loud silence on it. When I'm a baller, nigga, no rapper do it like I do it. A lot of spinnies and writers, but when the heat's on, none of them can get to the fire around with me. And I had a nigga still like a tire, and the heat, and I'm still dope as a piper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Through the night, I'm winning, coming through with the title because I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the depth till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me.
Hey, Shalom, love Christ, Israel. This officer I.S.U.P.K of the I.S.U.P.K. Started out of One West, Harlem, New York. This is the I.S.U.P.K. Kentucky. And tonight's class, we're gonna be going over the history about the Abraham's Accord. You understand? We're gonna go into stuff like basically what it is, what it's supposed to do, um, the conflict that's going on between in that land over there, what we can expect, and also like what we can also do. You know what I'm saying? So this is a real heavy class we're gonna get into tonight. So if I could, let's clap it up for the class tonight. You know, we're gonna get it in. We're gonna got real heavy topics going on tonight. Now, if I could, does anybody know what the Abraham Accord is? Either right here in class or online. Does anybody know what the Abraham Accord is? Okay, so basically, what the Abraham Accord is it's a joint statement between Israel, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, the United Arab Emirates consists of 7 different independent cities.
I got a question. Okay, so it's called the Abraham Accord because the Muslims know they descend from Abraham, or was that somebody else made that name?
That's part of it. That's part of the reason why it's called the Abraham Accord is because of Ishmael, and we know Ishmael is a descendant of Abraham.
Right.
So that's part of the reason why. We'll get into a little bit of that a little bit later too. You know what I'm saying? So basically, it's a joint statement between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. It was reached on August 29, 2020, to strengthen and maintain peace in the Middle East. That's just like a general breakdown of it. You know what I'm saying? A more formal way to say it is an agreement with the United Arab Emirates and was officially titled the Abraham Accord Peace Agreement, Treaty of Peace, Diplomatic Relation, and Full Normalization between the United Arab Emirates and the United States. This agreement between Bahrain and Israel was officially titled the Abraham Accord, Declaration of Peace, Cooperation, and Constructive diplomatic and friendly relation and was announced by the United States on September 11th. Now, go ahead, sir.
Just real quick, if I may, it was also a trick with the Netanyahu government,
Right?
that wants to have, if I may, they want to have Arabs to start saying Israel has the right to exist.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was a trick by Trump, who had his old oil buddies in
Right.
the United Arab Emirates and all of those Qatars and all of those, to just try to, like you just said, normalize Israel,
Right.
because they know that they are not the true Jews.
And none of them folks over there respect the so-called Israelis as the people of that land. Nobody.
Right.
Now, another question I could ask, if I could, why do you think that it had to say full normalization between the United Arab Emirates and the state of Israel? Does anybody know why it had to say the normalization? Go ahead.
Well, if I may, normalization is exactly that. It's them Arabs saying, you know what? Y'all are Jews. Y'all, that is y'all land. And we're gonna leave y'all alone, and y'all can have that and let us have ours.
Right.
It's two invaders trying to make a deal. They're trying to normalize the fact that there is an invading force in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, etc. That's imposters.
Right. Well, that's close. That's real close. But to bring us all the way home, if I could, if you take, let's take the Crips and Bloods, because we all from the streets. We all know what that is. Even we all know what that is. And we know Crips and Bloods been going at it forever, right? You know what I'm saying? And let's say the Crips and the Bloods call a truce, or a ceasefire, where they stop. You know what I'm saying? They stop attacking people on one side or the other. So they call it truce. But see, truces and ceasefires and all that can be uh, all that can be backtracked, because as soon as somebody shoots a shot, it's back on again. So none of that really normalizes anything. So like let's say the Bloods and the Crips, like let's say they call it normalization. Or also like in a ceasefire or something, that's like, you don't shoot at me, I won't shoot at you. But okay, so when we normalize something, that's like that's like saying, I won't shoot at you, you won't shoot at me, and then also I can go over into your territory and do certain things. You can come over into my territory and do certain things as well. So it's just like a normalization of the people. So like it's a normalization of a certain life that's going on. If that makes sense. Okay, so basically it's like the Crips and the Bloods, they can cease fire at any time, but they're still, you don't shoot me, I won't shoot you. We still don't interact with each other. So basically, when it's saying the normalization, that would be the interaction. That would be the interaction between both of the two states, Israel and the United Arab Emirates. And basically, what the Abraham Accord, what it's supposed to promote and support, is things like interfaith, uh, interculture, science, art, medicine, tourism, commerce, freedom of religion, and stuff like that. So basically, like how here in America, where you can basically be whatever you want to be, either Arab, or I mean a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, or whatever you can do, practice whatever you want to practice, and it is all accepted between the two different states. Um, so right now we're gonna, if I could, let's go to Proverbs 29:2, and then we're gonna go into a little bit of the conflict of what's been going on all the wars and stuff that's been going on in Israel from as early as the World War I till today. If I could, let's get Proverbs 29:2.
Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
So basically, when the righteous people are in authority, people are happy. There's no reason to go out there and protest. There's no reason to go out there and war because everybody's happy. There's no elections every 4 years. Worrying about who we're gonna vote for, either Republican or Democrat or whatnot, because when the righteous are in authority, everybody's cool. Everybody's happy. Go ahead.
But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn.
But when the wicked are ruling, the people are mourning. The people are unhappy. The people feel a need to have to protest or to riot or to even go to war. Which, like over here in the land of Israel, the Palestinians, the Arabs, and the Israelites, or not the Israelites, but the Israelis, have been at war for years of since World War I. Go ahead. Okay, I'll believe that's the end of that. Let's go ahead and go and get into that article. We have an article right here that goes into a lot of the what's been going on over there in Israel about the wars and stuff like that that's been going on. That's real. That's real heavy. So we're gonna go into this little article. Kind of okay. The conflict.
I got it. This courtesy of USAtoday.com. Timeline of conflict. Why the 2021 Israeli-Palestinian fighting is among the most brutal in years.
It's been amongst the most brutal in years because of the time that we are in. Go ahead.
Today's clashes stem from a cycle of bloody wars and bitter disputes stretching back decades. The intense fighting now raging between Israelis and Palestinians in an area not much larger than New Jersey, maybe the worst since 2014.
So basically, this is a area that's smaller than the city of New Jersey that the Israelis and the Palestinians, the Arabs, have been fighting over. Go ahead.
But it's a part of a complex, bitter conflict that reaches back to the First World War. The dispute is rooted in pre-biblical times, though its borders have shifted over the years. Palestine used to be what is now Israel, Gaza, and the West Bank. Both Israeli Jews and Palestinian Arabs' history, culture, and identity are linked to Palestine and to the ancient city of Jerusalem, one of the most bitterly contested cities on earth.
Okay, let's go ahead and stop right there for a second because uh, that also says according to the Associated Press, which according to the Associated Press, that's a lie because the people that are living or occupying the land of Israel right now are the Ashkenazi Jewish people who came from the Khazar Empire, the Turkish people who converted to Judaism. They're not real Jews. They converted to Judaism. Salakia. They are not and have no relation to the biblical Israelites, the people that are actually in the Bible. Why? Because that's us. We are the biblical Israelites. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native American are the actual Israelites. If I could, let's go to Revelations 2:9 real quick, just to show that them Jews, them Israelis, them so-called Jewish. Also, ish is a prefix meaning pertaining to.
Suffix.
Or a suffix, it's like a suffix meaning pertaining to, which that's just saying that there's not the real thing, but it's something like. Let's go ahead and go to Revelations 2:9 if I could.
Book of Revelations 2:9. I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
It says, I know, Salakia, go ahead, read that from the top again.
Revelations 2:9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
Yeah, I know thy works, thy tribulation, and thy poverty. Go ahead.
But thou art rich.
But thou art rich. Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
I know the blasphemy of them that call themselves Jews and are not. The people that are over there in Israel that today, the Israelites, are not the real Jews. Go ahead.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But are the synagogues of Satan. Go ahead. Let's go back to the article real quick.
The Ottoman Empire controlled Palestine for about 400 years before its defeat,
Right.
along with Germany in World War I. Britain was given control of Palestine by the League of Nations in 1920 under an order called the British Mandate. In 1917, the British government signaled its support for the establishment of a Jewish state in Israel with the Balfour Declaration.
So basically, the state of Israel, the so-called state of Israel, didn't even come into effect or even be established until 1917. Go ahead.
While the declaration stated support, it also said that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine.
Go ahead.
Or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country.
Keep going.
Jewish migration from Eastern and Central Europe surged from 1922 to 1947 as Jews fled persecution and the destruction of their communities during the interwar period and during World War II.
So if I could, these are the Ashkenazi Jewish people that converted to being Jews, not actual real Jews. Go ahead.
By the end of the Holocaust, more than 6 million European Jews had been murdered, and many survivors were left stateless.
Go ahead.
As the number of Jewish immigrants increased, many Palestinians were displaced. They began pushing back, and violence resulted.
Keep going. We can go through this.
In 1929, 67 Jews were killed in the Hebron massacre, part of Palestinian riots against Jewish immigrants in Palestine. Also known as the Gaza Strip, it's the home of about 2 million Palestinians, many of them displaced after leaving or being driven from Israel during the War of Independence. Smaller than Delaware, West Bank. Smaller than Delaware, the West Bank is east of Israel.
Okay, right now, this whole fight in Israel right now is over the West Bank. I mean, the state of Israel has changed, or the so-called state of Israel. The borders have changed since the World War One, but right now the whole fight is right there over that small town, or not small town, but small a small area that's smaller than the state of Delaware. The whole fight right now, all the killing and everything is going over that little small land. And the killer part about it is it's not even their land. Neither no party fighting over this land does that land belong to right now. Go ahead.
The West Bank contains a number of Jewish holy sites which are visited by thousands of pilgrims every year. Jerusalem itself is a divided, disputed city. It was cut in two after the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Israel controlled the western portion and Jordan controlled the east.
That's what I was just saying right here. The Arab War, Israeli War of 1948. See, the Arab state had a whole lot more land in so-called Israel than what they do today. See, the land just keeps getting shrinking and shrinking and shrinking over there. Go ahead.
Israel captured the entire city in the 1967 Six-Day War.
Keep going.
Attempts by Jewish settlers to evict Palestinian families from their homes in East Jerusalem helped spark the current conflict USA Today has reported. Though Jerusalem's ownership is disputed, Israeli officials claim it as the undivided capital of Israel. In 2017, the Trump administration moved the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, a formal recognition of Jerusalem as the capital.
Which that was actually a big thing for Israel right there when the United States recognized Israel as a state. That was actually big for them right there, because nobody respects Israel as a state. Go ahead.
However, most nations do not acknowledge Jerusalem as belonging to either Israelis or Palestinians.
It doesn't belong to either one of them. It belongs to us, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the real Jews, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go ahead.
Who's fighting? Hamas. Hamas is the largest Palestinian militant group and has fired rockets from Gaza at Israeli cities in the fighting. It was founded in 1987 during the first Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation of Gaza and the West Bank and has controlled Gaza since winning elections in 2007. It's committed to the destruction of Israel and is considered a terrorist group by the US, the UK, and other nations. Israeli Defense Forces. The IDF is the combined armed forces of Israel, including Army, Navy, and Air Force. It was established in 1948, 2 weeks after Israel declared itself a state. International community tries, fails to bring peace. In 1947, the UN votes to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states and make Jerusalem an international city. Arabs reject the plan, which is later dropped.
That's smart.
Go ahead.
Hey, that's so heavy. If I may,
Go ahead.
every time the devil, and I'm not no Palestinian supporter, but the white man always calls somebody a terrorist.
Right.
You understand that? If I may,
Right.
just real quick, if I may, I'm gonna read the definition of terrorism.
Go
It's
ahead.
the unlawful use of violence
Mm.
and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. The
Mm.
biggest terrorist in that region is the Israelis.
Right.
They're killing babies with American bombs and American missiles.
Right.
They're for political gain.
Right.
They are the very definition of a terrorist. Now, like I said, I'm not friends or supporters of the rock throwers.
Right.
You feel me?
And it's like if I could, that's the same thing and the same people they hated during the so-called Holocaust when they was the ones getting oppressed or the ones getting kidnapped and murdered. it was the same thing for them back then that they doing today to the so-called Palestinians. That's great. That's a heavy point you brought out. Give him a hand right there. That's a heavy point that was brought out. Straight up. Go ahead, sir. Was that it?
No, wow, we got a lot more to go.
No, Salaki, I was talking. Was that it? All you had?
Oh yeah, yeah, come,
Okay, okay. Salaki, go ahead.
In 1948,
Salaki, if I could, I'm gonna try to show this little. Well, not everybody ain't gonna see it. Nobody's gonna see it from my phone right there. But it basically just shows a map of Jerusalem and the area that Jerusalem had occupied, and also the area that the Arabs had occupied in that so-called state. Go ahead.
1948, after the British mandate expires on May 14th, the Jewish People's Council meets in Tel Aviv and establishes the State of Israel. The U.S. officially recognizes the new nation later that day. The USSR acknowledges it 3 days later.
So again, the so-called state of Israel has only been a state since 1948. Let that sink in real quick. The land has been there the whole time, but the people that occupy that land and call it a state have only been there since 1948. Let's let that sink in real quick. Go ahead.
1949, the Armistice Agreement is a UN mediated attempt to bring peace to Palestine. Israel signs agreements with Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon to reach a formal peace treaty within 6 months, but the effort ultimately fails.
Go ahead.
Egypt nationalizes the Suez Canal and bars Israeli ships from using it in the Straits of Tiran, another shipping route. Israel, aided by Britain and France, invades Egypt. The Soviet Union, an ally of Egypt, threatens nuclear retaliation, and the U.S. pressures British, French, and Israeli forces to withdraw. The UN deploys a peacekeeping force.
Go ahead. Keep on.
1964, the Palestine Liberation Organization, a group with the goal of uniting Arab groups and liberating the Palestinian territories through armed struggle, is formed in Egypt. Now that's funny right there. That they always trying to liberate somebody. Like, I don't know who the most savage beast on earth think he is,
Right.
but they always trying to liberate somebody and make somebody like, come on, man, y'all is the savages on earth.
Right,
man.
trying to make everybody else feel like savages when you the goddamn devil, the Bible speaks of. Go ahead.
And if I may, at the end of the day, it's two heathens.
Right.
Fighting over land their ancestors have no right
to whatsoever.
Now, if I may, anybody that's watching, just study Lawrence of Arabia. The white devil that went and divided the land between Iraq, Iran, and because there was no borders.
Right.
There was no Saudi Arabia.
Right.
There was no Qatar or none of that.
Wasn't no so-called Middle East.
Wasn't none of that.
If it's a Middle East, where's the Middle West at?
When the Ottoman Empire controlled that,
right,
they was all nomads. They traveled and went through.
Right.
That's why the president of Egypt, Nasser, said they left black and came back white.
We coming into that later.
Most on Christ. Let me let you go ahead and preach.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh yeah, 1967. The 6-day war grows out of the Suez Canal conflict. Egypt orders the UN force to leave, closes the Straits of Tiran to Israel again, and plans a secret attack against Israel. In a primitive strike, Israel attacks Egypt and later Jordan and Syria. capturing Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and the Sinai Peninsula.
Keep on. We're gonna read through this.
Salakia, if I may.
Go ahead.
Salakia.
Okay.
The crazy thing about this is they won the 6-day war with the real Israelites' money.
Right. That's heavy.
With our money. Their military and their weapons was able to destroy those Arabs.
Right.
This is how disgusted it is when we support these people, man.
Come.
We crushed a people for fake Jews.
Right.
So they can have control of our land.
And we still sitting here at the
Come on,
goddamn
man.
bottom, so-called begging for a hand up. Come on, man, that makes no goddamn sense. Go ahead.
I just Salakia.
This is kind of not on kind. That's all good. Go ahead.
1973, the Yom Kippur War starts with Egypt and Syria attacking Israel on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. The war is an attempt to reverse the defeat of the 1967 war. And it's like, if I made this just like what the Bible prophesied, there'd be no peace. There ain't gonna be no peace in Israel. Ezekiel prophesied that.
No peace.
There ain't gonna be no peace. They look for peace
until the children get back home.
Yeah, until we get back in there. But I mean, this Bible prophecy, Salaki. Caught unaware, the Israelis counterattack and win. The U.S. helped secure disengagement agreements from combatants, laying groundwork for future peace efforts. 1979, the Camp David Accords, an Israeli-Egyptian peace deal, is set up by the President Jimmy Carter and signed by Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin.
Keep going.
1979, Israel begins gradually withdraw from the Sinai. 1987, Palestinian stage the first of two uprisings or intifadas in Gaza, Israel, and the West Bank, using mass boycotts, civil obedience, and attacks on Israelis.
Right.
More than 50 Israeli civilians are killed. The intifada lasts more than 5 years, ending in September 1993. The Israeli military kills 1,070 Palestinians, including 237 children, according to B'Tselem, an Israeli human rights organization. Jewish settlers killed 54 Palestinians. The U.S. and the UN criticized Israelis' use of lethal force. Good night. Good night. Who are they to criticize anybody use of lethal force the way they brought blacks over here from West Africa? Native Indians.
Or the way they the damn terrorists in any other country. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If I may, I just can't help it, man. It's such a deep topic. You know what I'm saying? I believe Ehud Barak.
Right.
I may be wrong, but I believe Ehud Barak was the first prime minister of Israel that was from Israel.
Right.
Netanyahu ain't from Israel.
Right.
He's from New York.
Right.
All of the other ones is from New York.
Right.
They're not from Israel.
Right.
So how the hell you over here making policies and making doctrines to destroy a people who I don't care about, by the way, but to destroy a people, and you have no ties to this land
at all.
You're from Greenwich Village, New York. You are a hook-nosed animal. You're not no Jew. You're not. You're Polish. You're Slavic. You're German. You feel me? You're from Georgia.
Right.
You're Russian. You're not a Jew.
Not a
That's
Jew.
why it's so heavy, if I may, priest.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Beautiful topic, if I may. Because that's so heavy that you bring the accords and all this up. Real priests see how ridiculous they are, man.
Right.
Good shit,
Right.
priest.
Right.
Good shit, if I may.
Hey, Most High Christ. And if I can add, what Adawan brought up was so heavy. That's why they steady calling it the state of Israel.
Right.
This is an American agenda, man.
Right.
Right.
That's
Right.
why America was so deep in it. You feel me? And
Right.
all the people that rolled with America
Right.
was so deep in the World War II, man. It's called the state of Israel because it ain't nothing but the 52nd state, 51st state
Right.
of America. You
Right.
feel me?
Right.
That's
Right.
their little brothers. That's their eyes in the Middle East.
Right.
All that. You
Right.
feel me? I'm telling you, all that. Just like that president said they left black and came white. America knew the same thing, man.
And just like the president said that America has been hiding who the real Jews are this whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come on. The Freemasons, they knew.
Everybody know who the goddamn Israelites are except for the goddamn Israelites.
Right. Right.
Let that sink in.
If I may, because the Arabs, see, look, the Arabs even know we the children of Israel, but you know they believe in Allah and all that. So this is the thing that other people don't believe. They don't believe what we believe. Like we believe we the children of God and we supposed to rule the earth.
Right.
They don't believe all that, but they know, like, man, if you want to say anybody the Jews, they know it's black people in America.
That's right.
But they don't believe as deep as we go to it. But
And
they
when
know.
we say black, that includes our Hispanic brothers and sisters.
That's right.
That includes the Hispanics and the Native Americans.
That's right.
Cause I'm a Wong boy as a Native American.
That's right.
That
And
includes
give him a hand for that for me. That's right.
That includes all of us. That includes every one of us.
That's right.
That's not just talking about so-called black people. That's talking about every one of the 12 tribes. Every one of us. And we ain't all dark skinned. Not every one of us. I'm a Judite. You see how light I am. I'm a Judite. Go ahead.
So yeah, we back into the article is we in 1991 now. It say in response to the Intifada, the Madrid Conference, a historical gathering of all participants in the Arab-Israeli conflict, is chaired by the U.S. and Russia.
Right.
Right.
Salaki.
Right.
And we
Right.
went on that. We should have waited.
Yeah. I'm Salaki.
That's Salaki.
Salaki. I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Salaki. I know you.
This
Go
U.S.
ahead.
today, sir. This is
Right.
this is 100% on point. This
Yeah.
U.S. today.
Today.
This is
Straight up.
ain't
Straight
nothing
up.
bullshit about this Salaki.
Nah, you good. Go ahead.
Oh, come. 1993.
You was good, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oslo I, known as the Declaration of Principles, is signed by Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. It establishes a timetable. Yasser Arafat.
Yeah.
Salakia. Yasser Arafat.
Yeah.
It establishes a timetable of a Middle East peace process.
Hey, right now, again, what we're going through right now is the whole history of all the wars and all the conflict that's been going on over there in Atlantic Israel right now.
Right.
Go ahead.
1995, Oslo II is signed, a second agreement in which the Palestine Liberation Organization recognizes the state of Israel, and Israel also Palestinians' limited self-government in Gaza. In 2000, President Bill Clinton, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and Palestinian
Salaki. My bad.
Go ahead.
Ehud Barak and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat gather at the Camp David Summit, a meeting intended to end hostilities. It ends without an agreement. Palestinians, frustrated over failures to create a Palestinian state, began the second Intifada in September, which lasts until February 2005.
Go ahead.
And if I may, Ehud Barak, who I said, his whole argument was, I'm from here.
Right. Right.
Like I said, He was the prime minister that was born there.
Right.
So he's thinking, this my land. That's how he said it.
Right.
I'm from here. Not knowing you an animal. You like the South Africans who want to come and say, I was born here. And we all understand that them Africans and the Palestinians, they're heathens. But
Right.
we want the world to know that our oppressor, which is that same Caucasian
Right.
that's doing them other heathens dirty, is the oppressor we fight against.
It's the same.
You see what I'm saying?
Same person.
So they'll do
Right.
them heathens bad,
Right.
and then we surprised that they do us like this.
I mean, damn, if they do their own goddamn people like that, what you
Man.
expect? Like, really,
Man.
what do you expect if they're gonna do their own, treat their own people like that, treat their own people like shit? What do you think they're gonna do to you? And you not their people. Go ahead.
B'Tselem estimates more than 3,100. Let me say it right. B'Tselem estimates more than 3,100 Palestinians and 1,000 Israelis are killed. Israel withdraws from Gaza but retains control.
That's 2005.
2005.
Keep going.
2007, Hamas, the militant Palestinian group, wins election in Gaza. 2008, Israel launches a major military campaign against Hamas in Gaza after increased rocket fire from militants. The fighting ends on January 18, 2009, with 1,440 Palestinians and 13 Israelis killed.
See, that's what we was talking about in the beginning of the class. The normalization is basically just a ceasefire. So what they did right here, it was basically just a ceasefire. You know what I'm saying? There was no normalization. Everybody wasn't kicking it. Everybody wasn't going to the different states and was able to be protected by the laws. Go ahead.
2008.
2008.
2008, Israel launches a major military campaign against Hamas in Gaza after increased rocket fire from militants. The fighting ends on January 18, 2009, with 1,440 Palestinians and 13 Israelis killed.
See, you would think these damn Palestinians would learn, hey, we losing a whole lot of people. Let's stop fucking with these people. But there's always going to be war in this land because the people that's fighting over this land, neither one of them the land belongs to.
And if I may,
go ahead.
What a lot of people don't understand is America got the best military in the world.
Right, world.
But
right.
What they do is they give all they second-class weapons and planes, bombs, all that to Israel. It don't go to Mexico or Canada or France. It goes straight to Israel. And that's why they able to do them how they doing them.
Because Israel is a so-called ally of the Americans. Go ahead.
Right. 2012, Israeli forces kill Ahmed Jabari, a Hamas military chief, in a missile strike. The strike is part of an Israeli operation to eliminate weapons and militants in Gaza.
Right.
Hamas saying the killings has opened the gates of hell. Good night.
Keep going.
2014, Hamas kidnaps and kills 3 Israeli teens in the West Bank, igniting the Gaza war, in which rocket attacks and airstrikes killed 2,251 Palestinians and 73 Israelis. A senior Hamas leader praises the kidnapping and says it was intended to spark a new Palestinian uprising. The war lasts 50 days and ends with a truce. A United Nations report says both sides may have committed war crimes, which Israel and Hamas disputes.
See, with all these different ceasefires and so-called truces, you know what I'm saying? Those ceasefires and truces, they can all be taken back because as soon as somebody fire on the other side, then it's on again. You know what I'm saying? That's why they had to put that normalization in the Abraham Accord. So the normalization would be that everybody could come together and so-called basically skip off into the sunset singing Kumbaya. Go ahead, sir.
If I may,
Go ahead.
your topic is so powerful, if
Right.
I may,
What?
because how evil is it for Donald Trump, who hates Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians,
Hates them to the
to
core.
go to the so-called, and the reason why I say so-called Holy Land, they're not in our land.
Straight up.
That's they're in the land that they have, but it's not our ancient land, Salakia. If I may,
Go ahead.
why would he go to the United Arab Emirates, not the Palestinians, who they having a conflict with,
Right.
but you go to the United Arab Emirates, who has the rest of the oil. Y'all, don't nobody see that?
Right.
You don't
Can't
go
put the two
to
and two together.
the PLO, which is the Palestinian.
Right.
What you said, the Palestinian Liberation, whatever.
Right.
We call it the PLO.
Right.
So they didn't go to that.
Right.
They didn't go to Hamas.
Right.
They didn't go to the Palestinians.
Right.
Right.
They go to their neighbors that want to make money.
Right.
That want to sell them out and say, hey, you know what? We want to make money with y'all. That's
Right.
evil, man.
Evil is.
That's evil, man. And this is like, if
That's
I may, I want to get a brother a hand
That's heavy.
because that's a powerful, man. That's a powerful subject, if I may, because it's not spoken on enough.
Right.
And Most High in Christ.
And that's heavy what you brought out too, sir. That's heavy what you brought out too. Go ahead, let's keep going.
2017.
17.
The Trump administration says it will move the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, in effect an official U.S. recognition of Israel's claim to the city. The embassy is relocated in 2018.
And see, that was real heavy for Israel, or the so-called state of Israel, the Israelis.
Right.
That was so-called heavy for them because nobody recognizes Israel as a state because nobody recognizes the people that's in their land right now because everybody knows them people left out black and came back white. Go ahead. 2018.
2018, protests breaks out on the Gaza-Israeli border as the U.S. embassy is relocated. Demonstrators throw explosives and rocks across barrier fences and are met with gunfire and tear gas. At least 58 Palestinians are killed, the Gaza Health Ministry says. Man,
Go ahead.
that's so heavy because, like, see, them people never being slaves and never getting their identity took away from them. They ready to die for it.
Right. Don't
They
even
ready
know, don't
to
even know
die.
what the hell they trying to die
Die
for.
for it. They know that ain't they land
They
either.
know
They
it. They
been
know
there.
goddamn
They
well
ain't never
it ain't
going
they
to
land.
slavery and they
They
ain't
don't
trying
know
to
nothing
go.
about it. But yeah,
That's the
they
crazy thing.
so gun hold on that land and it's their land. Man, y'all ain't
Right.
got
It
nothing to
ain't
do with
none of
that
their
goddamn
lands
land.
at the end of the
They
day.
ain't got nothing to do with y'all. That's our goddamn land that you taking. And we coming to get that back. Go ahead.
If I may, Salakia, y'all. They should never, and I'm not saying y'all giving them props, they should never be given props for being gung-ho.
Right.
What it is, they follow a book that's toilet paper. If you follow a book that's toilet paper, guess what? You will throw a rock at a goddamn tank.
Right. And
Because
think
you
doing
following weed paper.
They think you doing
And
something.
Salakia, you
They think
following
doing something.
toilet paper. You're following garbage. And that's what the Quran is.
Garbage.
That's why they do what they do. The Quran and Hadith is trash.
If I could, the only thing that I really know about the Quran and the only thing I need to know about the Quran is Allah chose Israel, which is not the land, is the people, which Israel is a people. Allah chose Israel over all other nations.
Right.
That's the only thing I need to know about the Quran. That's the only thing I need to know. Let's go ahead, sir. Salaki. Only thing I need to know about the Quran. That's heavy what the warrior said. Let's give him a hand.
Yeah, we in 2021.
2021.
Fighting erupts against an Israeli police raid, the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem on April 13th. The first night of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, and disconnect speakers broadcasting prayers as Reuven Rivlin, the Israeli president, is speaking at the Western Wall, a site sacred to the Jewish people. Police then closed a nearby plaza, a popular gathering place. Palestinians and Jews began attacking one another, and Israeli police raided the mosque on May 7th. The raid on what's considered a holy Muslim site on one of the holiest nights of Ramadan is viewed by Muslims as an insult. Hamas and other militants fired rockets into Israel from Gaza on May 10th. Israel counterattacks with airstrikes despite international pressure for peace. The fighting continues. And that's heavy because that's what I was saying. Like in Ezekiel say, you feel me? They prophesied,
right.
Peace for Israel. And the Lord say, nah.
Right.
Ain't no peace.
Ain't no peace.
He said,
the people that's occupying the land is not the people that's supposed to be.
Right.
They are not the people that's supposed to be over there in the land. Go ahead.
That's the end of the article.
I think we got a little bit more. It's two more paragraphs.
Death across Israel and Palestinian territory.
Count no, okay.
Ain't nothing popping up.
Nothing? You good? Okay. So basically, the people that's fighting over there in the land of Israel, they fighting for a land that's not even theirs, but they putting up a good front. They putting up a good fight. Right. You know what I'm saying? So who does that land really belong to? Does it belong to the Palestinians or does that belong to the Israelis? Does anybody know? Go ahead, sir.
No, I know we do. If I may, real quick, I'm gonna say this real quick. I won't be long-winded if I may.
Right.
But it's Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian land.
Damn right.
But this is the problem I got. Them white hook-nosed bastards say it's their land biblically because they had it since 1870. They'll use 1870.
1948, actually.
No. That's the state of Israel. They'll say that they had it 1870,
right,
according to documentation,
right,
that the Jews had control of it then.
Right.
But my problem is this: the Ottoman Empire had it.
Right.
The Persians had it.
Right.
The Romans had it.
The
Greeks.
In 70 AD, we was pushed out.
That's letting anybody that got knowledge know one thing: those were all what?
Heathens.
And what? Invaders. None of them was from there.
Damn right.
It was us. It was us that left it.
Right.
And don't know who the hell we are.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm going to be done with this. The Arabs know who they are.
Right.
Palestinians know they are Shia Muslims.
Right.
They know it.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
And get into the Shia Sunni argument, and you'll see that's not their land.
Right.
You'll see.
Right.
Because the Shia Muslim comes all the way up north.
Right.
Has nothing to do with Palestine. And I told you Lawrence of Arabia. Study it. It was our people that abandoned the land because we niggas, we warriors, and we ran to fight another day.
Right.
Salakia.
We ran out, right. We was ran out of our land in the 70 AD when the Romans came and took over. We was ran out of our land. Kind out of one kind. That's real heavy. It's the water, sir.
Yeah, most high Christ, preach.
Now, let's go to Jeremiah 14:2, if I could. Cause we gonna show that this land that these Israelis occupy, so-called, that land is not their land. That's our land.
Preach that.
Everybody there?
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2.
Go ahead.
Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish.
So basically, that's saying Judah's mourning. Judah's sad. Judah's down. Go ahead.
They are black unto the ground.
So tell me where all them white so-called Ashkenazi Jews come in at. Ain't none of them black. But it say in the Bible that the judges was black. Go ahead.
And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
The cry of Jerusalem has gone up. Here in the I.S.U.P.K, our cries unto the Lord have gone up.
Right.
The Lord hears them.
Right.
The Lord hears our cries. Why you think the coronavirus is here?
Right.
Because the Lord hears our goddamn cries.
Right. That's right.
The Lord hears our cries.
That's right.
That's it. That's the reason.
That's just like with Cain and Abel. You feel me? Cain and Abel ain't nothing but like a pre-flood version of black and white people.
Right.
Blood crying from the ground.
Right.
Our blood,
right.
Blood crying from the ground.
Hey,
that's a heavy point right there. That's a heavy point right there. So now what we're gonna go into in this part of the lesson is what can we do as a people? What can we do as a nation? And when I say nation, I'm talking about the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go to Matthew 24:6, because this is what we're gonna expect when things start really hitting the fan here in America. This is what we can actually really expect. When I like him out there, let's go ahead and get it.
Matthew 24:6, these Christ's words. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. What the hell we hear right now is wars. It's been wars, and we've been reading it. It's been wars going on since so-called World War I over there in the land of Israel. And America has been at war since America has been established.
Right.
Like America, it's not a time when America ain't been in war.
Right.
It's not a time.
That's right.
Let's go. Keep going.
See that ye be not troubled.
So don't be troubled about that. Whenever you hear about the wars and the rumors of war, as a black, Hispanic, and Native American, a true, real Israelite that the Bible speaks of, we shouldn't be worried about that. So the meaning that we should be worried about who the fuck we going to go vote for. That's not a thing we should be worried about. We shouldn't be worried about who the fuck is in office. Go ahead.
Right.
You have something?
Lie.
Okay, go ahead. We shouldn't be worried about
something though, if I may.
Go ahead.
That ye be not troubled is so heavy because a lot of people, like I run into a lot of people I've dropped the truth on, and they be like, "Well, what we gonna do?
What we
like,
gonna do?
What you mean? You telling me a war coming? You telling me
no,
America gonna be burnt down?
Hey,
so what we gonna do?
What to do?
And that's what Christ was talking about. He said, "Don't worry about all that.
Don't worry about that."
Just like in the wilderness with Moses, and the Lord was with us the whole time. That's what he's saying. Like, don't worry about all that.
Don't worry about what the hell them heathens is doing.
Right. Let them go to war.
Let them go to war.
Let them
let them fight. Let them kill each other. Let them do what the fuck they want to do.
Right.
And that ain't got shit to do with you. Go ahead, sir.
If I may, what the priest brought out, it's so heavy.
Double heavy.
It's man, no. Real talk. Because listen, if we serving the Most High, it's about war. Nigga, we done been in the trenches, in the streets.
Right. The Most High.
Where a nigga wake up, guess what? I got my pistol. I got everything I need, and I'm about to hit the street, and I'm ready for it. That's the nigga. We supposed to have a full armor, nigga. We supposed to have the full armor of the Most High in this battle.
Damn right.
Correct?
Because this is not a carnal battle. This is a spiritual battle. Go ahead.
Right. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So even though we're hearing about all these rumors of wars and stuff like that, I mean, hold on. The end is still not here yet. It's still not here yet because a couple things still gotta happen. Go ahead.
Right. For nation shall rise against nation.
Nation shall rise against nation. Go ahead.
And kingdom against kingdom.
Kingdom against kingdom. That means every so-called kingdom or government that's on this planet is going to rise up against each other.
Right.
Go ahead.
And there shall be famines.
Famines. That means shit's gonna fuck up.
Right.
That means all them bugs that's coming and destroying your crops and all that. That's what that's talking about right there. All these famines. Shit's not gonna be right. Go ahead.
And pestilences.
Go ahead.
And earthquakes.
Earthquakes in all these diverse places that never even had a goddamn earthquake before. Where the fuck is earthquakes coming from? Go ahead.
In diverse places, all these are the beginning of sorrows.
All of this is the beginning. So with everything that's going on right now, we know we in the last days because the Bible is telling us this is the beginning of the end. Go ahead.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
And who doesn't hate the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Who doesn't hate us? Go ahead, sir.
If I may.
I can't
help it.
You know you can.
Nigga, you can't bring this deep shit out. You can't have this topic without a preacher. You can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
If I may.
This Kentucky.
If I may.
Kentucky. This Kentucky.
Pestilence. It was just read. It's so powerful, priest. You're bringing out such heavy topics that we gotta talk about it. As you my nigga. As a priest, listen. A fatal epidemic, disease, especially they was talking about the bubonic plague.
Right.
So the Bible's we in that, man. We involved in that right now.
And if you don't think so, you a goddamn fool.
If I may, that's heavy. That's heavy, priest. And give the priest a hand, everybody. Goddammit. Give the priest a hand. That's heavy, y'all. Right. Most High in Christ, man.
Now, if I could, let's also go to Zechariah 12:3, because what we got to understand as a people, everybody's against you. Everybody hates you. It's not them so-called Israelis that's living over there in Israel right now. Nobody gives a fuck about them for real. Everybody cares about who you are and what the fuck you doing. Everybody's hating on you. You the one that's oppressed right goddamn now. That's you. That's not the Israelis. Cause last time I checked, they got diamond mines and all type of wealth.
Right.
They not more than no goddamn way.
Right.
That's you.
Right.
Bro. That's you. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Last time I checked, ain't no so-called Jewish people in cages along the borders. That's our Hispanic brothers and sisters. It's not them Jewish motherfuckers. So when you have that anger, Israel, and when you have when you want to displace that anger, you need to make sure you displace it right here. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I ain't got no percent.
Oh, kind of. Let's go to Salakia, sir. Let's go to Jeremiah 14:2.
Salaki, we ain't reach Zechariah 12:3.
Okay, go ahead. Salakia, go ahead.
Book of Zechariah 12:3. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people.
A burdensome stone for all people. Right now, Jerusalem is a burden for every goddamn body. Because everybody got to go protect it. And the people they protecting over in their land, it's not even their goddamn land. So they over there protecting their land and the people for no goddamn reason. Because that's not their goddamn land. Go ahead.
All that burden themselves shall it, Salaki, all that burden themselves will it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it.
Everybody's gonna come against Israel. When World War III pop off, and everybody is against every goddamn body, you just remember the I.S.U.P.K told you. Go ahead.
In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment. And
We did it in the 3. Okay, let's go to 2 Chronicles 7:14. Because what we got to do is know what we need to do as a people. And when I'm talking about a people, I'm talking about the entire Israel of nation. That's the Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's the whole 12 tribes. That's everybody. What we need to do as a people is right here in 2 Chronicles 7:14. Whenever you get that off the shot, let's go.
2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves.
If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves, which will mean get off your goddamn high horse,
right,
and quit thinking you some goddamn body,
know everything, right.
and quit thinking you know every goddamn thing, and humble your goddamn self. Go ahead.
And pray.
And pray. Pray to the Most High. Humble yourself and pray to the Most High. Go ahead.
And seek my face.
And seek the face. Not that so-called faggot ass white man that we see that the Christian church want to portray the
right
with the long hair and the blue eyes and the white skin. That's not Yahushua Mashiach. Go ahead.
And turn from their wicked ways.
And turn from the wicked ways. Everything you do here in goddamn America is wicked as fuck. From the voting to every goddamn thing you do here in America is wicked than a motherfucker. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. I think I put a hole in this table.
Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
Then will the Most High hear us. Then will the Most High forgive us.
Right.
And then will the Most High put us in our goddamn land where we supposed to be, that them so-called Israelis is fighting over today. That's not their goddamn land. That's your goddamn land, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go ahead.
Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
Forgive the sin and heal the land.
That's heavy right
there. The sin is your transgression.
Salaki, if I may.
Go ahead.
So obviously the land ain't healed. Because if they over there, if them the real Jews, they over there, they keeping all the feast days. You feel me? They know the Hebrew. They serving God.
They serving God.
Why the land ain't healed? It's a desert. If you look over there, it's a desert.
That's mind-boggling.
It's a desert. That's the Garden of Eden. It ain't supposed to look like that. That's the Garden of Eden. It ain't supposed to look like a desert.
It ain't supposed to look like a goddamn desert.
That's so heavy.
Because people are supposed to hearken to the Most High. If they doing that, well, why the fuck is they land in that goddamn place or the state that it's in? Why was Israel made a state in 1948?
Right.
A lot of your parents was born in 1948. Remember that shit. Your parents was born in 1948. A lot of them. So the state of Israel has only been a state as long as your parents have been living. Let that shit sink in for a second.
That's heavy scripture though. Most ain't crazy.
If I could, with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Officer. I'm a Wonder Boy.
Most ain't crazy. We're gonna read the security announcements. Salakia, let me get them right quick. With the I.S.U.P.K, start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. With the I.S.U.P.K, start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are limits for 6 months. They'll be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. And they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister.
Right.
There's another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, number 18 and 21, Malachi 3:8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department. Priest fund, free offer for priest, not mandatory. Whatever some amount you would like, upcoming holy convocation, we get more clarification on that. Give a courtesy salute to the brothers and sisters around the stream. Amijam, Mike Shabbat, Amijam, Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shem Barak Thumb.
Yahweh Shemar Thumb by Shem Shai. Class is missed.